Yeah, I'm Stephen Park, Full Belly Farm, and we're in our new propagation greenhouse that we built this past spring, in spring of 2020. We decided to go with this style of bench, which is a bottom watering ebb and flow bench, and they're also a rolling bench. So with the rolling benches, we basically got, we got a quarter. We saved a quarter of our growing space. We gained a quarter or more of a growing space out of this greenhouse by eliminating all the rows between benches. So that was a huge benefit. We have enough room for a single path down both sides, and just rolling back and forth. And even when they're full of plants and full of water and everything, they're easy to move. I do have a little more time. Like I was saying, I was just getting this set up as we were filling them this spring, and I do need to spend a little bit more time on some of the leveling and squaring up and stuff just before next spring. Mostly the leveling, because it's really important for these to be extremely level, because they get filled with water, and so if they're off even a little bit, you have
one corner will be dry.
Yeah. So this system, we went with the bottom watering system as labor saving, and for labor saving reasons, but it's also a lot of other benefits. Leaves never get wet. We're not doing overhead watering, so as far as disease control, it's hugely beneficial for that. You can also fertilize through this system if you wanted to have fertilizer in your reservoir tanks. We haven't done that so far. We have two different reservoir tanks that we use because we grow a lot of vegetable starts and flower starts, and the flowers, we need to adjust the pH of the water more. We bring it down because we have pretty high pH water here, so we're using citric acid to bring the pH down. And so we use two different reservoirs that we can switch between. So when we're watering our flowers, we're using a pH adjusted water, and watering the vegetable starts, we're using just regular water. We might switch to kind of getting the pH sort of in between, so we don't have to manage two different reservoirs.
Yeah.
We'll see. We're still kind of working with that. And the way this works is we have reservoirs that we fill with water. You can adjust the pH, or you could add fertilizer to that, or you could use biofungicides, and you can use your root shield and stuff like that. You could add into that water if you wanted, or oxidate if you're trying to sanitize. And then it's all control. We have a controller and a 1-horse pump that pumps from the reservoirs out to the benches. These are set up, every 2 benches is its own zone. So we have 28 benches, and it's 14 zones. And so you can water one zone at a time. And then also each bench has a valve at the far end. So if you only have plants on one of the benches in a zone, you can also just shut that bench off. Mm-hmm. So you can water 1 or 2 benches at a time. And then you can set a series. So if we come in, kind of a typical day of checking moisture and determining what needs watering, come in the morning, go through, inspect, this zone needs this amount, this zone, and then you can go to the controller and you can set each one of those zones, and then it'll water in a series. And as far as the control on how much water comes in here and how much water they get is really just a matter of how long the pump runs. So if we have 128 flats, we tend to run the pump just a little bit less time, because you don't really need the level to come up too high over them. You don't want to come over top of them. And larger pots, if we have larger planters or any of the larger pots, they take a little longer to wick the water up. So we'll run the benches for we'll run the water in them a little longer so that they can have more time to wick water. And then the water, so the water comes in at the far end. It fills these benches to, you know, and it runs for say 12 or 15 minutes, however much water we want to run in them. And it tends to be about 12 to 15 minutes per zone is what we do. And then when the pump shuts off, there's a special type of valve that these have to where if the water's coming in, then it won't drain out. But then once that water coming in shuts off, it allows the water to drain out, and it creates a siphon, and it siphons the water out of the bench. And if you look at the far end, we have that 3-inch pipe is where the water drains into. So you use a hose that feeds in to the 3-inch pipe. So the 3-inch pipe is where the water drains into. This is kind of disconnected because I'm working on some things right now. But this hose here hooks into this valve, and the water siphons out into this 3-inch pipe that is set at a slope all the way around the greenhouse, and just a slight slope, and then it all drains back down to a sump. And in the sump, there's a sump pump that then runs it back into the reservoir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you set the controller and you want the water to come on, every zone has a solenoid valve, all wired individually. And so if I can set that at the controller, that solenoid valve will open for 12 minutes. Then it closes, the water drains out and runs back to the sump, and then makes its way back to the reservoir.